Hi everyone, this is Nathan Chua from One Life Only Counseling Services. Since it's Mental Health Month, I want to share something that's very simple but powerful at the same time. And it can help you deal with one of the most common struggles I see in therapy: inner conflict. Now, how to make wiser choices in life, a mental health month exercise. That's the title of today's vlog. So, how many times have we come to a decision point or a choice point where we need to make, or we want, or we have to make a decision, whether you're going to medical school or you're going to law school or getting married or staying single or moving somewhere or staying put. So all of these are choices we make. And these are the big ones, but we also make small ones. Like if your spouse or your son or daughter disappoints you, well, you usually have a couple of choices. You show your anger or do something else that's aside from being angry. All right. So, or we can even talk about this in terms of road rage, right? So when somebody cuts you off on the street, you have a couple of options. You can just let it slide, or you can get out of your car or vehicle and confront the other person and uh, see what happens. So this is about all the choices we make every moment, every minute. All right. So you know that feeling when one part of you says I should and another part says but I want. I can feel It can feel like being pulled in two directions, torn between responsibility and desire, between peacekeeping and honesty, or between fear and courage. Today, I'll show you how to work with those moments using a practice I call the two truths exercise, a short reflection you can do anytime to help you make peace with yourself instead of fighting with your own mind. So, there's an old saying in ACT, we call it the yes and, not the yes but. All right. So, well, my kid should be coming home on time from a party. That's true. And when he comes home late, uh, it's also true that part of you says, well, maybe I should give him a chance this time to, let's say, prove himself or herself or themselves to see if there's another way of dealing with this situation with your child. Okay, that's more than just sticking to a rule and, let's say, admonishing or scolding your child. Okay. So both can be true because you learned probably from your own parents that you should punish your child. Well, that could be true, and it's also true that sometimes you observe that punishing your child is not the type of person or parent you want to be. Okay, so both truths can be true, can be there. All right, and it's just a matter of what choice we make in those moments. So, where our rules begin. When we were kids, we learned certain ways to survive scary situations. If our parents were fighting, they looked like giants towering above us. Maybe we learned to freeze, to stay quiet, so we wouldn't get into trouble. So, pag nag-aaway si mommy si daddy, tago muna tayo or kulong muna sa kwarto, freeze muna, no? We conserve energy. Maybe we live to fight another day. If there was a bully at school, who seemed big enough to eat us alive, maybe we learn to run away or hide because that's the only way to keep safe from the bully. And some of us learned to fight back because that was the only way to feel safe. So yung mga bullies themselves, they fight back because inside of them, that's the only way they can feel safe inside their skin. Now, those patterns, fight, flight, or freeze, made perfect sense back then. They were our best guesses at how to stay safe in a world that felt too big. No, nung bata tayo, parang ang laki ng mundo eh. Ang laki ni tatay, ang laki ni nanay, ang laki ng bully, ang laki ng teacher mo, no? So, and we try our best to figure out a way to problem solve the situation, and sometimes to the detriment of our own interests. But here's the thing, those same rules often follow us into adulthood. Now the giants aren't your parents or the bullies anymore. They're your boss, could be your partner, or even your own thoughts. And without realizing it, we still follow the same rules. Run when things feel hard, fight when we feel small, hide when we fear rejection. They work to protect us once, but they don't always help us live wisely now. So that's when we say we're living in the past or the future, but not living in the present. That's why for Mental Health Month, I want to share a short reflection, a way to pause, notice those old rules at play, and start choosing from your values instead of your fears. The two truths practice. As adults, those old rules often show up as voices in our heads. One saying, I should, and another saying, I want. For example, I should stay quiet to keep the peace versus I want to speak up for myself. I should forgive and forget versus I want to protect myself from being hurt again. Now, when these collide, we feel torn. A part of us obeys the rule to stay safe, while another part longs to grow. Diba? Minsan, oh, I want to ride that elevator because I'm already 25 years old, not a kid anymore who always needs to have mom by her side in order to ride an elevator. So sometimes there's an urgent need to grow up because mom will not always be there, right? So that tug of war is what I call the two truths. Both sides are trying to help in their own way. So the practice is pause when you notice the tension, name the two sides, maybe the protector and the dreamer, or the fearful and the brave. So we're not uh, in the weeds. We're kind of taking a bird's eye view of what's going on down there. Inside us, there are usually two parts. One is the part that wants you to feel comfortable, and the other is the part that wants you to grow and live meaningfully. Ask each, what do you want for me? So they're not good or bad in themselves, but they want something for you. They're there to help you, those two sides. You'll often discover both sides wanting something good. So it's good to be safe. It's good to feel that you belong. It's good to feel respected. They just use different strategies. Then say to yourself, it makes sense that part of me wants to stay safe. And it also makes sense that another part of me wants to take a chance. That small act of validation quiets the war inside. You stop judging yourself for being conflicted and begin listening with kindness. So you're no longer at war with yourself. Now, using your inner GPS. Once both sides have been heard, take a slow, mindful breath. Now imagine you have an inner GPS, a compass that points to who or what matters most to you. Ask, if I listen or I only listen to side A, where does that take me? If I only listen to side B, where does that take me? What direction moves me closer to the kind of person I want to be in this situation? That last question helps you move from reaction to intention. You stop asking which side is right and start asking which choice brings me closer to my values. So I think this is a wonderful quote here, from reaction to intention. So can we live intentionally rather than just reacting to things around us? So making the choice that brings us closer to how we want to be in the moment within the bigger picture of your life, right? Or what you want your life to be about. Why this matters for mental health. Mental health isn't about never feeling conflicted. No, no, that is, that thing you should, you should not think this way. You should think that way. You know, like one has to go before the other can function, right? Or you have to be relaxed to be able to make a speech. All right. It's about being flexible to make room for both the fear and the courage, the doubt and the hope. When you can say both are here and that's okay, you create space to respond wisely instead of impulsively. So, this is what we call the yes and. Your move from control to connection, both with yourself and with others. That's the heart of psychological flexibility, the ability to act in alignment with your values even when your mind is pulling you in different directions. So, if you find yourself caught in an inner tug of war this week, try the two truths practices. Name both sides, validate both, let your inner compass or GPS, your values, that's what we mean. It's a metaphor for your values. It's like a compass. Doesn't tell you, you know, exactly where to turn or which route to take, but the overall bigger picture is that you're moving towards a certain direction. Could be east, west, or anything, right? But you know in your heart when you're moving as a whole person towards the direction you want. So let your inner compass, your values, guide your next small step. So every journey starts with one small step. And maybe it will help you. And I created this little, metaphor that I use with my clients. And it's kind of coming from my own personal experience. Imagine you're at a birthday party for someone you really care about. And you know how it goes in parties, right? Everybody's invited. There will always be people in the room you don't particularly like. Then someone says something rude or irritating. Now you have a choice. Do you act from your anger or from the old rules? You've learned, I must defend myself. I can't let that slide. Or can you stay present and remember, it's my friend's birthday and I'm here to celebrate, not to argue. In that moment, you're doing exactly what this practice teaches, holding two truths, your frustration and your love, choosing the one that connects to you, not the one that controls you. That's what mental health really looks like. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of space. Space to move towards what matters most, even with noise inside you. Once again, I'm Nathan Chua. This is One Life Only Counseling Services. If this message helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, your mind can hold many voices, but your values will always show you the way. All right? Bye bye for now.